I don't know how long this video will be up, so enjoy it while you can. It's literally evidence of me breaking the law, but also learning a lot. No AI here, this was all me. It starts in this public square in Madrid, and things really get spicy when the cops show up and tell me I can't film. Here's why I was filming in the first place. I'm a red-blooded, born and bred American individualist, and honestly, I've always thought Europe was full of socialists and collectivists who think their healthcare is better because it's free, and who think Scandinavia is prosperous because they have such high taxes. Not to spite them, but if you look closely, there's like half of Madrid drinking in public. There's nothing better than cracking open a cold beer on a hot day, especially when you can do it in public. But the truth is, I'm not actually a drinker, so I've got a non-alcoholic beer. Back when I was a drinker, I got a ticket for walking down the street in New York City drinking a beer. And it was in a paper bag, but it sent me on a journey. Had I been wrong all along? I'm Trevor Kraus, and I went to Europe to find out. Are Europeans actually freer than Americans? The first thing I found was so cool that I was skeptical. So this is the Alte Rheinbrücke, the old bridge over the Rhine. I'm on the Switzerland side now, and I'm gonna cross this bridge, go through this tunnel, and I'll be in Liechtenstein, the way it should be. I thought it would feel weird or surreal, but honestly, it was the most normal thing in the world. And here I go. Well, it's dark in here, but I do see a light at the end of the tunnel, and what I don't see is any border control. I'm about halfway across the bridge, and as you can see on the sign behind me, another couple feet this way, and I'll be in Liechtenstein. New country, no border control, nothing. All right, walking across the border. And here I am. Just felt my phone vibrate. I bet that's my international carrier telling me that I've crossed a country border, but that's the only way you'd know. Now, we can have a debate about open borders, and by all means, have at it in the comments. But even if you believe in borders manned by guys with guns, physically crossing them should be easier than having to wait in a long line in a windowless room in an airport, or in your car at a toll booth, don't you think? One side, and the other. I was having fun with it, but I learned more. What I had walked across is part of the Schengen area, a passport-free travel zone covering 29 European countries and about 420 million people. And aside from travel, the EU is a single open market for goods, which means no tariffs, by the way. And it works. Liechtenstein, tiny, landlocked, open-bordered, has one of the lowest crime rates and highest per capita GDPs on Earth. Switzerland ranks consistently in the top 10 on the Fraser Institute's Economic Freedom of the World Index. I wrote a full email course about tariffs, by the way, and why they're so destructive economically. Scan the QR code or click the link below to get it for free. But economics isn't even the point. Walking on foot from one sovereign nation to another completely unimpeded as a free adult, that's a physical experience of what morality in a free world feels like. That's when it occurred to me. There's another, physical feeling of freedom you can't get here in the States, but that you can get in Switzerland and Spain and Germany and many other parts of Europe. Hey, stop looking at my hiney! Eyes up here. This is important. We all know about vitamin D, but I found it depends not just on sun exposure, but on how much skin is actually exposed, and specifically on the density of vitamin D receptors in that skin. And the parts of the body typically covered by a swimsuit tend to have high receptor density. I'll let you do the math, and while you gawk at my pale skin on this small little beach in southern Switzerland, I'll give you my theory. I think the need to cover up and the restrictions on drinking in public and some of the other things we'll talk about, I think it all comes from the US's puritanical English heritage, but let me know what you think. Anyway, the water there was freezing cold, but I told the producers not to show you the evidence of that. At least it was sunny out. And that got me thinking, on a hot summer's day, you might want good sunscreen, especially in Spain, where the sun can burn you to a crisp. Would you believe what I found? So this is a pharmacy in Madrid, Spain, where you can buy this brand of sunscreen. Notice the UVA there? That's not FDA approved. And even Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez agrees with me that the approval process for basic sunscreen should be much quicker, like it is here in Europe. That's right. There are sunscreen ingredients widely used across Europe and Asia that are not permitted in the US because the FDA hasn't finished reviewing them. In Europe, sunscreen is considered a cosmetic, but in the US, it's classified as an over-the-counter drug. And like I said, this subject is actually the one thing AOC makes sense about. And the Safe Sunscreen Standards Act from 2025 aims to streamline the FDA review process and has bipartisan support. And when socialist AOC, Democrats, and Republicans are all on the same side of something, it's a real problem. This is another real problem for Americans that doesn't exist in Europe. It occurred to me walking the streets of Madrid, where it feels like there's a barber shop on every corner. So this is a barber shop, aptly named, here in Spain. And the barbers here, they didn't have to go through thousands of hours of training like you do in the US to get a license. You could just open up a barber shop. Now, I made it seem a little simpler than it really is. There are fees to open a shop and certain hygiene and ventilation standards you have to adhere to. I even dug into this in Spanish to make sure I had it right. This source says a license isn't mandatory, but it will help your reputation. So it's voluntary. If you meet basic health and safety requirements, you can open a shop and then prove yourself to the marketplace. Meanwhile, to become a licensed barber in the US, you need more than 1,000 hours of barber school, then a licensing exam, then ongoing fees. And if you move to another state, well, many don't recognize each other's licenses, so you might have to start over. Despite the relatively open borders and the opportunity to drink and be nude in public, there still are some restrictions for your barbershop. So I don't mean to suggest that Europe is some free market utopia, as I learned in a small town in Switzerland. So this is beautiful Zug, Switzerland. It's the banking capital of Switzerland, which is kind of the banking capital of the world, and also one of the wealthiest places on earth. You can see all the yachts behind me. I'm gonna try to open a Swiss bank account here, and Swiss bank accounts are famously difficult for foreign governments to infiltrate. Full disclosure, by the way, I do not think it's gonna be possible for a foreigner to do so, but we'll try. Can I speak to a banker?
Yes, of course. If you have a seat, and then someone will get you.
Thank you. Just a question. I don't know if it's possible for a foreigner who doesn't live here to open a bank account.
You have to live here, you work here, you need a permit.
Is that true for any nationality?
Yes, you have to live in Zug or near to Zug in Switzerland.
Oh, I see. Okay. In 2010, the US passed FATCA, Foreign Account Tax Compliance Act. Every financial institution in the world that wants to do business in dollars must report American account holders to the IRS or face steep penalties. But that's a choice by American policymakers, and it runs counter to the famously stable and private Swiss tradition. Your financial life is your business, and the government has no automatic right to see it. And private was the key word when I flew out of Switzerland and over to Spain. About to go through security at a European airport. I'm speaking kind of softly because I don't think I'm supposed to be recording this necessarily, but it looks like it'll go pretty fast. And it was fast, although no, I wasn't supposed to be recording or taking photos. I actually left my phone recording as it went through the conveyor belt. Kinda cool. Airports over there use private security contractors that, yes, compete for contracts, which means they have actual incentives to be both secure and efficient. And they even ask for your feedback. Meanwhile, the TSA now employs roughly 60,000 federal workers on an annual budget of about $10 billion. And once a $10 billion federal bureaucracy exists, it has enormous incentive to keep existing. Now, here's what I didn't know. A program called the Screening Partnership Program already lets US airports opt out of TSA and use private screeners, under TSA oversight, of course. About 20 airports use it, including San Francisco International. And no surprise, the House Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure found SPP airports consistently outperform TSA-run airports. In addition to all those barbershops, I noticed a ton of gambling salons too. And see, just a few blocks later, here's another betting parlor. And this is near to my heart because I'm a big sports fan, but I hate sports betting, and sports betting commercials especially. Extremely annoying, but I don't think sports betting should be illegal.
¿Me puedo registrar?
Puedes pasar mi documento.
Sí.
All I had to do was show my passport to go in and place a bet. In America, sports betting was federally banned for decades. The Supreme Court struck that down in 2018, and a bunch of states have legalized it since. Don't walk into a gas station and buy scratch tickets. They have some of the worst odds of any gambling product on earth, but they've always been legal because states run those lotteries and they take a cut. The private companies that, yes, annoy me with those ads actually offer better odds on football games, and they need to be regulated? That hypocrisy annoys me more than anything. I want to get back to those cops in Madrid, and I want to bring you home with me to the US, but let me rattle off two quick ones here that annoy me too. Lane splitting is when a motorcycle moves between lanes of slow or stopped traffic. It's only legal in California, but in Europe it's built into driver training and expected by everyone around you. Then there's that car parked facing oncoming traffic. It's a ticketable offense in most US jurisdictions, but in Europe, nobody cares. If you fit, you're not blocking anything, you can park.
Look at this. In a right turn lane, long line of cars, red light, no one turning. Absurd.
And yet they don't let you make a right on red. So for that reason, and many others, after about a month over there, I was excited to get home to the land of the free and home of the brave. Although even for an American citizen like me, it was significantly harder than going from Switzerland to Liechtenstein. They don't even let you use the bathroom until you're through. Eventually though, I made it.
I'm back, baby.
First thing I did, a trip to Costco, of course, to fill up on gas. That was way more expensive than when I left. Including a personal gas canister, which are illegal in many places in Europe. Learning that restored a little pride in my home country. So did this.
Look at this. Red light, but I'm going right. It's good to be home.
It's amazing. One trip to Costco, and I'm gonna do all the things that you can't do in Europe. For example, I'm gonna walk in with a pocket knife in my pocket. That's not allowed in many places in Europe. Now, they've changed the bagel offer since the last time I was here. I was in Europe for like a month. But it used to be buy one, get one free, which is something you can't advertise in a lot of places in Europe. Now, we've established that I don't drink alcohol, but if I did, I wouldn't hesitate to have a little sip of wine or a shot and then drive home. Because unlike zero tolerance Europe, here in the US, we recognize that you can have a drink and still drive safely. And now watch me take a sip from this water bottle. I should explain that water bottle thing. In Europe, you can't separate the cap from a water bottle, and it's awkward as hell. So I sure enjoyed ripping off that cap when I got home. I also filmed some cops. You can film cops in the US. You can in Spain too. But let me tell you what happened when those cops approached me. See, a cop who was actually undercover saw me recording and asked for my ID, and I asked to see his. I always ask to see a cop's badge. He said, "You can record us, but if we see any of this footage on social media, you'll be subject to a fine." But that's not exactly true. Publishing this footage is not illegal because it doesn't endanger those police officers, and it doesn't interfere with any of their official business. Publishing footage that does do that is what's prohibited. He also said, you might want to be a little more subtle about that beer. He explained he's national police, so he didn't care. But the municipal police might. So drinking in public, not quite as legal as I thought. And here's one last thing that's not quite legal there. In Spain, they have les majest laws, meaning it's prohibited to offend the dignity of a reigning sovereign, the king. So, for the sake of celebrating my American freedoms now that I'm home, Donald Trump and your expensive gas because of your stupid wars, Joe Biden and your inflation and lockdowns, Barack Obama with your suppression of journalists, and George W. Bush with your surveillance state, you can all kiss my pale naked hiney.